What is up, you guys? It's Simon. Welcome back to my channel. So if you can't already tell by the title and by what I've kind of got set up over here, today's video is going to be a little Q&A slash sort of plan with me thing. Planning for Patreon has been genuinely so, I don't want to say difficult or stressful. It's just that I've found it so hard to be inspired lately, not because I've, got like burnout or anything like that. It's just I'm doing so many things that it is so hard for my brain to sit down, focus, and work on something as simple as planning. So yeah, I thought it would be fun to kind of like hold myself accountable, but also bring you guys along for the process, kind of show you guys what it is that I go through while I am working on my Patreon stuff, and while we do so, maybe answer some questions. So getting into the Q&A. So the first question that I have is, what is your favorite art piece you have done? So this is a hard one for me because my brain never really processes what I'm working on necessarily, if that makes sense. So I make something and then the minute that I'm not drawing at all. Here, hold on. I'm gonna brain dump and then I'm going to get to that because I can't think right now. This is what I've got going on right now. I think I'm gonna work on maybe the print because that's the thing that I'm most excited about. So moving on, back to the question. So it is, what is your favorite art piece that you've done? So going back to that, essentially what I was trying to explain is I'll make art and then just kind of, I don't want to say forget about it because, you know, if I do think for a little bit, look back, I can think of pieces that I've made, obviously, but I don't really think of any of them as my, my favorite art piece, not because I dislike them necessarily, but just because it's not really something that usually crosses my mind, I guess, when I'm making artwork. It's like, oh, this is like my favorite thing I've ever done. It does happen on the occasion, but it usually only happens as I'm working on the piece, and then by the time it's finished, it's like, I've completely forgotten that this was my favorite thing. So when I'm asked the question, like, what's your favorite art piece? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I know I used to say it was like that little Decora girl that's my shop photo on my Etsy store right now. I still really love that piece, but I've definitely grown a lot since then. In fact, I think I'm gonna really see that during the process of this particular month of, with the Patreon rewards and stuff, just because the theme for this month is very closely related to the theme for that illustration as well. So I'm definitely going to be able to see some growth from that, which I'm super excited about. But yeah, I guess I'll still say that one just because, that is where my mind goes, even though I know that there's pieces that I have made since then that I love more, that I can't think of. So yeah, I guess that's my favorite piece. The next question is, what's your favorite part of your art process? Now that is an easy one for me. My favorite part of the art process, my art process in particular, is rendering, but particularly rendering skin. Lately it has just been such a nice, like very soothing process for me. I've been getting like a ton of commission work lately, which is like super, super nice, but it also means that I'm getting to do a lot of rendering, which has been super nice and definitely just a really solid way for me to tell that is for sure one of my favorite things. I used to say that it was rendering hair, but lately, because I have been doing all of this commission work and have been having to render so much hair, I've been like, this is too much work. And also I feel like my brushes have changed slightly. I have not touched them as far as settings goes or anything like that. I haven't made any changes to my brushes, but I feel like they react a little bit differently than they normally used to now, which is really, really odd to me. Like I'm used to them reacting a certain way when I use like the smudge tool and stuff like that, and they just have not been doing what they normally do lately. So that's been kind of frustrating. So yeah, definitely rendering hair is my favorite part right now. This body is looking, that head is so small. This is definitely interesting. Yeah, this is part of what comes with trying to talk and draw at the same time. Definitely leads to some intriguing results. So the next question that we have is, which artists have inspired you most? So this is a difficult question for me as well, particularly for the same reason as when I'm asked like what my favorite art piece is, because I can think, you know, off the top of my head all the time, so many artists that I love, and then the minute that somebody asks me, who's your favorite artist? Boom, it's gone. I can say that ever since I was very young, like I'm talking like middle school levels of young, very, very young, small, I've been inspired by Loish. I think she is an amazing, amazing artist. I'm so obsessed with her. Her work is super, super gorgeous. I did a presentation on her when I was younger. So yeah, I can definitely say that Loish does hold a place in my artistic inspiration experience, I guess you could say. Another of my favorite artists right now would be Lotus Bubble. I really, really like her sketches. They just look so soft, and then her paint over process just seems so easy and so nice. Definitely want to get to that level of just like ease of process, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it just looks like her illustration process is so streamlined, and I would love to get to a point like that in my work. I feel like my process in some ways is kind of streamlined, but in other ways is very chaotic, so I definitely would love to get to that point eventually. Another artist I've been really, really liking lately, it happened very recently, is Cynic's Design. I love this guy's videos. Like, oh my god, they are super, super helpful. I've really been enjoying particularly his Paint Over Pals series. Has been super, super nice and very helpful, even though, you know, of course I'm not sending my own work in. Just watching how he critiques other people's work has been super helpful to understand how I can improve my own artwork as well. So yeah, definitely would recommend giving his channel a little look-see, because it is super, super nice. Very well put together as well, and his art is just so nice. His rendering is like, whoa. I would love to have rendering skills like that. Like it's so good. So yeah, definitely recommending Cynic's Design for sure. So the next question is Prismacolor or Crayola, and I feel like my answer is gonna be a little bit controversial. So my answer is Crayola, and let me explain. I know that Prismacolor makes some really nice, you know, color pencils, and their alcohol markers as well are actually not that bad. However, I do prefer Crayola for a couple of different reasons. So I am not an artist that generally uses like, what do you call it? I don't really use color pencil in my work. I tend to kind of go for you know, using markers for my flats and things like that. I don't really use color pencils as like my primary source when it comes to like base colors or anything like that. I really just use them for small bits and accents. And while I do have, like, I think right here, oh, dropping things. I do have, as you guys can probably see, let me see if I can actually find one, because it is a bunch of Crayola in here. Here we go. I do have, you know, a handful of Prismacolor pencils in general. However, I just tend to prefer Crayola because I don't really like the soft, what do they call it? The soft lead that the Prismacolor Premiers have. And then I think, are they the Premiers? Is that what they're called? I don't know. there's soft Prismacolors, and then there's the very thin. I don't hate the very thin, they're just not really what I'm looking for either, because those tend to be even harder, whereas Crayola is kind of like in the middle a little bit. They're kind of soft, kind of hard, and a little bit waxy, which is really, really nice for just adding little fine details, or even in some cases I like to use them for line art as well if I'm not printing my line art like I have been lately. Sometimes I will transfer them like through a light box. So when I do that, I do like to use color pencils because I like to have some nice soft line work. So if that's the case, then I like to use Crayolas because they are hard enough that they can, you know, hold a nice line, but they are soft enough that I can use them for little simple details and stuff like that. And then as far as markers and stuff goes, you know, they're classic. Everybody's been using them since they were little kids. Would I use them regularly? Not necessarily, but I don't use the Prismacolor markers regularly either. So if it's just coming down to color pencils, I'm gonna have to go Crayola on that one. Well, tea break. First of all, I love this tea so much. If you guys have any Starbucks recommendations, please let me know, because I'm one of those people where my drink is definitely seasonally related. So if there's, you know, in the autumn months, I really love a good pumpkin spice latte. If it's winter, I'm down with the chestnut praline, but we are coming into non-seasonal drink season, which means nearly every time I go to Starbucks, I'm getting something different. Lately, I've been experimenting a little bit with the, the almond milk shaken espresso, which I like, but it also kind of tastes like almost nothing. So right now I'm drinking the I think it's the chai tea latte, which I've had a million times. I've tried the London Fog. I hate the caramel macchiato. I despise it. I've tried the pistachio latte, which I don't despise. But yeah, if any of you guys have a go-to drink, let me know, because I am wanting to experiment with my drinks lately. I'm also going to move on to one of the next prompts, just because I don't want to, you know, hold you guys to only one of the design. So the next one I think we're going to work on is, I guess we'll go with the line art. So that one's going to be relatively simple. I like to keep the line art simple just so that you guys can really like not feel trapped when it comes to certain color choices. Like for example, if I were to do, you know, an illustration that had a lot of elements that have to be a color, like a certain color, like apples, for example. I don't know why I would do something apple related, but you know, something that was really heavily centered on something that has like a lot of predetermined colors, that means that you guys don't get to experiment as much. So I like to keep things really simple so you guys can go kind of all out, go all over the place, do whatever it is that you guys want to do. So the next question that we have, because that is what this video is for, is what got you into drawing and what made you so passionate about it? So me, like every other dang kid or artist ever in general, I got started when I was really small. You know, I guess you could say I was inspired by like media that I consumed as a kid. I did grow up in the early 2000s. I was born in 99. So I was definitely growing up during, you know, like Disney's golden age and stuff like that. So I was watching a lot of, you know, just animated shows and art related things. And that really inspired me. I think I've told some stories about how I used to draw on my basement walls as a kid. And one of those things that I would draw on the walls quite frequently was Timon from the Lion King. It did not look like him at all. It was a jumbled mess. Like, if I didn't write the word Timon next to it, you would not be able to tell that that is what it was. But regardless, I did a lot of stuff like that. So I guess you can say Disney and stuff is what inspired me, and I guess drawing just became kind of a second-hand nature, I guess. I never really stopped drawing once I got started. Every time we had like an art project in school that was art related, I was like, oh yes, let me be doing this. I'm so excited. If we had, especially in high school, oh my god, even as you know, somebody who went to kind of like an art related school, there was like definitely a center around, you know, arts and things like that at the high school that I went to. Even then I was still one of those people where like if we had like an art related project in like an English class or something where it wasn't primarily art related, you'd have people like swamping to me as one of the only artists in the class, and I did not mind, you know, doing a primary, or not primary, like a majority would be a better word, a majority of the work on those art related projects, because it was a fun thing for me. I enjoyed doing it. So I guess you could say that's what got me into it, was just, you know, being raised so heavily around it. It just naturally became part of my personality, I guess. As far as what made me so passionate about it, I worked a retail job, and I did not like that retail job, as most people tend not to do. Retail jobs kind of freaking suck. If you work one, power to you, because I hated it. I despised every second of it. You know, when I first started, I really liked it. I actually have a story time about how I continued to dislike it more and more. If you haven't seen it, I'll probably, hopefully, I'm moving my hands a lot right now so I can remember in the editing process to put an iCard here. But I have a story time about how I grew to heavily dislike my my retail job, and how that kind of led me into doing this. Essentially, you know, as I was working that job, I had a little mishap with a coworker who was god awful, but also as I was working there, I just kind of realized every single day that all I wanted to do was make art. I recently had made my Instagram not too long after starting there, and I was really starting to like actually get some attention to my work. I'd had experience, very minor experience, posting my art online as a kid. You guys have seen my DeviantArt video. There are so many drawings that are deleted from that DeviantArt that were even worse. But yeah, I'd had experience posting my art online, but those deviations, you know, they never really got attention, because you could tell that is definitely not somebody that, you know, I don't want to say that not somebody that cared about art, because I did. I was super proud of my art, but you could tell that I was very much a beginner. So there wasn't really like interaction, you know, people engaging with my work or anything like that, which isn't, you know, it's not the worst thing in the entire world. However, when I started posting on Instagram is when people started actually commenting things and being like, hey, this looks really good, hey, this is really nice, you know, following my work and actually wanting to see it. And I think that just, it stuck in my brain. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Not necessarily the fact that my art was getting attention, but more so the fact that, you know, people apart from me cared about my art. That was just, it was insane to me, you know, that I was finally starting to get to a place where like it looked good, I guess. I don't know, this is really hard to explain. It was just nice to have other people interested in my work and not me just, you know, making it for myself. I do still make art for myself, but this is so hard to explain. It's nice to have other people interested in something that you're passionate about, especially if you're the one that's producing the thing that you're passionate about. So yeah, the fact that people were starting to actually interact with my art was something that really stuck with me, and I was just kind of really proud of myself, and I knew that it was something that I wanted to continue doing, because I felt like I actually could continue to do it, and that it wasn't something that was just going to go nowhere, I guess. So yeah, that definitely was, I think, the catalyst to me starting to get really like, I guess I was already passionate about it before, but really like serious about, you know, doing something with my work. So yeah, a very long ramble. Hopefully it made sense. That kind of leads into our next question, is what inspired you to start a business? And essentially, like I said, it was the fact that people were starting to, you know, interact with my artwork, care about whether or not I posted and things like that. You know, tell me without prompting, like, hey, that looks awesome. Hey, do you take commissions? You know, things like that. Just people that genuinely wanted access to my work, I guess. It was definitely something that I thought was super, super cool. Definitely something that, you know, made me think like, hey, I'm gonna do this more. And I did. So yeah, I'm definitely very, very grateful that I decided to do that, because for years I was so scared to like actually post on things like Instagram, especially my newer work. You know, I hadn't posted my art online in years, apart from, you know, the things that I posted on DeviantArt. But even then, I'd stopped posting to DA because I was so embarrassed by the stuff that I had previously posted that I was like, yeah, I can't show my face on DeviantArt anymore. So yeah, finding another platform to post on was scary. I posted a bit to Tumblr as well. Tumblr, kind of similar situation to DeviantArt. It was definitely higher quality artwork that I was posting to Tumblr, but it also wasn't like the best art in the entire world. It was still definitely what I would consider to technically be like beginner quality, I guess, which isn't bad. You know, even if you're a beginner, please post your art online, because you know there are going to be people that care about it. They're going to, you know, interact and tell you things that you can do to improve your work and get better and things like that. I got so in my own head about things like that. I get such bad anxiety, and I would talk myself out of it all the time, and I really regret doing that, because I could have gotten started so much sooner instead of, you know, starting fresh out of high school. I could have started while I was in high school and, you know, really built up a platform before leaving and being like, what do I do now? But yeah, I was just scared, and now that I've finally done it, I have not looked back since. I really don't regret you know, starting this channel or my Instagram or anything like that. I'm genuinely so happy with all of the things that I have been getting to do as far as my work goes, and just everything in general. It's really nice. So yeah, if you're thinking about posting your work somewhere, do it. If you're thinking about starting an Etsy shop, do it. If you're thinking about starting anything, do it. Do it now, because the only thing that I regret is not starting sooner. So highly recommend getting started. So anyways, the next question we have, this is the second to last art related question, and then I have some that are kind of more personality based, is do you get mean customers, and what stories can you tell about it? So I don't want to necessarily say I have any, I don't think I've had any particularly like mean customers, so much as I have had customers who kind of give me like sketch vibes, I guess, if that makes sense, or like, you know, customers I don't really want to work with again, not because they were rude to me, but because they were kind of, I guess, kind of disrespectful to, I guess, my artwork, if that makes sense, like really disrespectful of like time and, you know, my prices and things like that. I did have this one guy, we're gonna call him Pale Cherry Pink, because that is the first Copic that I looked at. So Pale Cherry, this dude, he wanted a commission that was for Avatar, and I think he wanted it either in Avatar style or like similar to that, like as close as I could emulate it, which is fine. You know, I don't mind when people ask me to emulate certain art styles. I'm actually working on one right now where I am doing one for, I think is it Genshin? Yeah, Genshin Impact is something that I'm working on at the moment. I'm also going to switch now because I really like this liner. I opened Pinterest and I saw a cute little like short curly little thing, and that's adorable. So I'm gonna move on to this one before I keep working on it, overwork it, and then decide I hate it. What should we work on next? I just did the print, did the lines, might as well go for the download next. Let me get my board back up. I also took the liberty of opening up my Instagram DMs with Pale Cherry because this happened around last year in 2021, so I definitely wanted to kind of refresh my memory and figure out what exactly it was that irked me about working with this guy, because like I said before, you know, working in the style of the anime did not, and yes, I'm calling Avatar an anime, it's animated, cartoon, whatever it is that you want to call it, working in the style of the show was not what bothered me. It was how he acted as a client that really got to me. So essentially what would happen is he would ask me, okay, so let me explain my commission structure. So the way I have my commission structured, because I do have people pay for the full amount up front, which I know is super intimidating, especially for people who you know, maybe don't have experience purchasing commissions and doing things like that. I know it can be super stressful to kind of put your trust into somebody to give full payment before they've even started on something, and you have no idea what the end result is going to be. So the way that I have my commission structured is I have it in 3 stages. I have the sketch, the lines. I don't need to write this down because I can't write fast enough for my mouth. I have the sketch, the line work, and then the final color. And that way, in between each stage, it gives somebody the opportunity to be like, hey, I'm not so sure I like the positioning of like this hand, or maybe can we go like give them longer hair, or maybe change their hairstyle, you know, something that's really simple and an easy fix, especially when in early stages like the sketch phase. You know, if I draw something and it's really simple and then somebody's like, maybe can we change the expression a little bit? That's an easy fix. That's something I love doing. I hate the idea of people paying for something that in the end they're not going to be happy with. If they do want major revisions, that is something that comes into account, you know, changes the price, alters it a little bit. But for the most part, you know, simple changes, stuff that's easy for me to fix, are included in that. But again, I like to have that stage structure so that people have the opportunity to tell me things. I'm gonna start trying again. So what are we doing? We're working on the download. Okay, so what bothered me about this guy was that every single time I got through with a stage of the commission. So for example, if I were to finish the sketch, I'd finish it up and then he'd approve it. He'd be like, yeah, that looks great. I don't want any changes. Super happy with it. It looks awesome. Feel free to continue. And then I would. I'd go on and I'd start the line work. And honestly, sometimes, unless I have a lot of commissions backed up or videos and things like that that I need to do, sometimes my turnaround time is literally like 3 days. So if I get you the sketch, if I'm not backed up, sometimes you get the lines the next day. But what he would do is he'd look at the sketch, he'd tell me it's great, I finish the lines, I send in the lines, and then all of a sudden he wants a change. And the change was never something small. It was almost always a complete major revision. But because this was in 2021, you guys know how 2020 was when it came to, you know, commissions and stuff, because everybody was out of work because of the panorama. You know, people don't have the money to spend on luxuries like art and stuff. So when there are people that are commissioning me with the money that they currently have, I was like definitely more lenient when it came to you know, revisions and stuff like that, because all of us needed money. And if this guy's already paying me, I might as well, you know, make revisions and hope that he comes back as a repeat commissioner, which he did, which was not a great thing for me, as you will soon see. So like I said, he continued to do like just these big major revisions that were really, really hard on me, and essentially completely different commissions. And at first I was kind of like, you know what, it's fine, because I, you know, in the end, I did agree to be the one to do these revisions. You know, I didn't tell him no if I was uncomfortable. And at first I wasn't, you know, at first I didn't mind. It was how he would continue every single time without fail to not tell me he wanted any revisions until I got onto the next stage. So I would finish the sketch, get all the way through with the line art, send him the line art, and then he'd be like, can you change something? And it's way harder to change something in the line art stage than it is in the sketch stage, especially because line art takes me way longer. So I spent all this time doing line work on a position that he didn't like. So I would have to go back and spend all that time on line art again. So yeah, that continued to be an issue with him. And then he did end up being a repeat commissioner, which, you know, at first glance is really nice. But when it is a customer that isn't necessarily, again, like I mentioned, respectful of your time, it's not necessarily the best thing. But because I needed the money, I once again took the commission. And this commission is the one that really, really bothered me, because he was trying to get me to do so many things. for free. And I will explain that. So essentially what happened was he couldn't decide, number one, if he wanted the commission to be Star Wars related or something else. I think he wanted like a vampire or something. He couldn't decide if he wanted to be a vampire or a Jedi. And he also wanted to be aged up. So this guy was like maybe 20. He wanted to be somewhere around his 30s and 40s. And I was, or like, I think he said 30s, 40s, or 50s, 60s. And I was like, which one? Because I'm already gonna have to work to take your face and age it up. But that's a pretty vast price range, or not price range, age range. And he was like, well, I can't really decide, so could you just draw both? And I'll decide from there. And I was like, yeah, so these are my sketch commission prices. And he was like, well, you know, I'm already gonna commission you, you know, like, why would I need to, you know, why would I need to do that? And I was like, well, I still have to draw this, like, this isn't, you know, included in the commission prices because it's not the end result of your commission. This is me sketching out a handful of faces. Like, he wanted me to draw a couple of faces in different age ranges, which is already like, that's something that's complicated to do. Your face clearly is not that old. I'm having to look at your features and then try to decide how those features would look aged. That's not necessarily something that's easy to do, especially not for an artist who was, I don't want to say I was like a beginner at this point. I would say maybe like intermediate, but I definitely wasn't like a super, super amazingly talented artist that would just be able to look at somebody and do that easily. So yeah, I ended up doing it because he wouldn't drop it. Like, he would not, you know, number one, he wouldn't decide on Jedi or vampire until I had done that sketch. And then number two, he wouldn't decide on how old he was or wanted to be without seeing the images. And I was like, if I don't do this, I'm not gonna get a commission, period. So I'm just gonna do it, because this is also, I wanna say, some of my earliest experiences with commissions. It's definitely not one of my first ones that I ever did, but it was, you know, I think at that point I'd only been doing commissions for maybe, you know, 6 months or so, and even then commissions were very stagnant. Like, I'd maybe get one every 3 months. So this was probably like, I want to say like my 6th or 7th commission. So it was not my first. I'd had a few experiences with it, but it definitely was still early on enough that I didn't know when to say no. I didn't know when to respect my own boundaries and to accept or decline certain works. So I ended up doing it for free. He ends up finally deciding on being a Jedi, and again, that's fine. You know, now that we had everything all good and sorted, I was like, okay, so what are we doing for pose? And he essentially gave me a screenshot from one of the early movies in the trilogy, like the first ones. I think it was like, you know, the ones with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. He sent me a little screenshot of that and was like, basically this, do this. And I was like, that's totally fine. That's awesome. I can definitely do that. I finished the entire sketch, and I didn't think it looked that bad. I actually thought it like looked pretty good. And then, oh my gosh, what did he say? He said something that really, really bothered me. Let me find it. Okay, so he actually did something that I totally forgot about. So remember, again, this dude, Pale Cherry, could not decide if he wanted to be 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever, had me draw him for free, older than he actually is, for this commission, so he could decide, you know, what he wanted to do. And then after drawing it with his older face that he so desperately needed, this dude tells me, if you don't mind, let's just use my current face. So essentially, he was like, please draw for free, me older, and then don't use it for the commission. So I had to change it to be his current face. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just, you know, I'll erase the beard. I'll do some liquify on the face so they don't have to entirely redraw the dang thing. you know, and I'll make it so that it looks younger. Very frustratingly, I was so upset about that, because I was like, why would you, you know, put me through the ringer to draw you older, only for you to be like, yeah, let's not draw me older, actually. Let's go with what I already look like. So that was really frustrating. And then in addition to that, I finished it, and then he was like, can you change the expression? It looks like he's seen a ghost, which like is not that bad, but also at the same time was the exact same expression, like I said, as the previous iteration of the commission, of the sketch. All I did was erase his beard and squish his face to be soft. I did not touch his expression at all. So if you didn't like the expression, why didn't you tell me that during that phase instead of waiting for me to finish a different part of the illustration before deciding that? Like, that's already something that you would have seen, that you would have been able to comment on and had plenty of time to let me know before I made that adjustment. So why wouldn't you just tell me when you notice it? It was so frustrating. And then in addition to that, he was like, I actually found a better pose that I think would be a lot easier to illustrate. If you found a pose that you thought would be easier, why did you wait until 3 revisions to tell me that you didn't like the pose, and like 2 days of me working on those revisions before you decided, I don't actually like it? Like, you had so much time. I give people so much time to decide what they fully want for their commission, to avoid the, you know, the revisions, because nobody wants to have to do that, because then it makes your commission take longer and it makes me have to put more work in. And now the way that I do it, if you want major revisions like that, it costs more. So I give people time to look at it and make sure that it's something that they want. But this guy, every single time he commissioned me, without fail, would have me make major revisions after completing the stages, when he could have told me before I moved on. You know, and it's not like you have to answer right away. If you look at it and you decide, give me some time to look at it, let me see if I really like it, go for it. If you want to wait an additional day and just tell me like, hey, can you give me a little bit to look at this? I'm gonna stare. It's like a tattoo. Stare at it, and then if you find something you don't like, let me know, and I would be happy to fix it. But do not let me know after I've already completed like half of the illustration and have to essentially start over from scratch because you don't even like the main part of the commission again. Please don't make me do that, because it's so frustrating. It's frustrating for me as the artist, and it's frustrating for you as a client, because it is, because of this dude, it do be costing money now. Because it was so frustrating. It was like nothing that I did this guy was ever happy with, and yet he kept coming back to commission me. Like, do you like my art or not? I'm like so confused. So yeah, he did that quite a few times, and it was very stressful. And after that, I finally put my foot down and was like, you know, if you want me to do that, it is gonna cost more. But that's definitely, I guess, the closest thing I've had to a mean client. I thankfully have never had clients like yell at me or like, you know, berate me or anything like that. I'm sure there are other artists online that have had experiences with some not so nice clients, but so far that has not been me. I've had some really, really great you know, experiences with all of my clients. Other than that, everybody's been super nice, really just honestly hyping me up a lot about my work, especially as somebody, like I mentioned before when I was talking about my Instagram, people being interested in my art is like a super new thing for me. I know I've started, you know, I've had my YouTube channel for a couple of years now. I've been making videos for I think like 2 or 3 years now, which is crazy, but yeah, it's definitely a new experience for me compared to some other people that have been posting online much longer than I have. So anybody that's commissioned me, even people like Pale Cherry who want constant revisions and are always changing things, I'm still grateful for anybody that's ever commissioned me. And I'm very grateful that I've never had anybody be mean to me in particular. So that's pretty good. The last work/art related question I have is, do you content batch? And I think this video is a pretty good example of the fact that yes, I do. So I I'm currently filming this video exactly a week ahead of time. The video for last week is coming out in less than 15 minutes from when I'm speaking right now at this moment. I really like to film my videos ahead of time because it gives me plenty of time to kind of ensure that my you know, I can edit them properly, you know, get all the little tiny bits in there, because I do, lately I've been really enjoying hand drawing little tiny elements of, you know, like my videos, kind of like how Franner does on hers, how she'll like, or Doodle Date too, how they just kind of have like little pop-ups, hello airplane, little pop-ups to kind of, you know, emphasize certain things that they're saying or talking about. So that's something that I've been really enjoying doing that I don't really have time for if I don't film way ahead of time, just because my computer is a dinosaur and it takes so long to export, especially videos that are filmed from my phone. Videos that are filmed from my iPad usually don't take more than 30 minutes to export because it is a significantly smaller file size, because my iPad doesn't screen record, or not screen, well yeah, screen record. It doesn't screen record in as high as a quality as my cell phone does. My phone does obviously 4K, whereas my iPhone, or not my iPhone, my iPad, I think the automatic resolution is like, I'm pretty sure the highest is like 1080, which is still good, but definitely way smaller file size than 4K is. So it just takes significantly longer when filming from my phone, so I have to film way ahead of time because sometimes it takes like 3 hours for videos to export, which is not ideal. Definitely don't have time to sit and wait on videos to export that long if the video is supposed to be coming out in like a day. So yeah, that's definitely something that I have to film ahead of time. And then obviously, like you guys are seeing me demonstrate throughout this whole entire video, I also like to get things set up for Patreon way ahead of time so I can steadily work on them. Especially lately, I have to heavily structure things so that I can do all of that on top of things like hiccups, this YouTube video where I'm sitting and talking and sketching for hours on end, you know, kind of just making sure that I can get all of the things that I need done, like Patreon, YouTube, Etsy. A lot of work goes into Etsy, promoting Etsy, making sure my pictures look nice, things like that. That is a lot of work, and that's something that takes time, obviously. So I have to do batch content, because if I don't, there's no way that I can produce content. Otherwise I am, you know, I'm stuck. Back when I was posting on Instagram daily, I'm once again not drawing while I'm talking. Back when I was posting on Instagram daily, I can't do that anymore. Even if I, you know, even if I wanted to post to Instagram daily, it is so, it's very unlikely. The closest thing I can get to that is if I did Reels daily, because I love TikTok because things are just so, they're short form. I don't feel like I have to draw things for TikTok all the time. I don't have to create like full-on illustrations. Sometimes I can just post silly little stupid doodles to like sounds that I think are funny, especially something that I'll get into one of the questions towards the end, just like fandoms that I'm in. I feel like I don't really post fandom content to Instagram very often because I don't want my audience to expect fan art very often. Do I love making fan art? Yes, but is it primarily what I make? Absolutely not. But when it comes to TikTok, I know that people are there for my art because I post such a like wide variety of things on there that I don't feel bad posting fan art, because I don't feel like my audience is derived mainly from my fan art. But I know that Instagram has been, for example, because every time I get large boosts in my following, it's because I posted something fandom related. Very good example of that would be when I when I was really into it back in, oh God, what was it? Was it 2020? Last like 2 or 3 years or so, back when chapter 2 came out is when I got super into it. That's funny. Anyways, into the clown movie, and I was posting a ton of content for it. This is such a hard thing to structure because it's literally called It. But I was making a ton of content for the clown movie, particularly like stuff with Richie and Eddie, because when chapter 2 came out, I was obsessed with them, particularly the part where, spoilers for It, by the way, at the end when Eddie dies, somebody pointed out that Richie, he has his blood on his hand, but there's his ring finger, there's a band of blood, it's Eddie's blood. It's messed up, it hurts. I love them, I love them. So I was making a lot of Ready related content, you know, stuff like that, posting a ton of that. People were loving it. I think I gained like 2,500 followers. I have 5,000, by the way, for reference. So I gained a significant portion of my following from It. And while a lot of people did stay, thankfully, a lot of people just dipped the minute that I stopped posting Ready content, which sucked. Or I have all of these accounts that probably forgot that they followed me, and now, you know, they're still following me but not interacting with my account at all whatsoever because it's not showing up in their feed because it's not related to their main source of interest. Whereas, you know, the way TikTok is structured, the fact that it's like, you know, kind of almost like, I want to say randomized, like yes, your For You page is like your For You page, but it also sometimes has content that ridiculously has nothing to do with any of your interests and is just like generally popular content, is where, you know, things like artists can squeeze in really easily. And I feel really comfortable on TikTok as a platform. So yeah, definitely, this is so off topic, but essentially, I think posting daily on things like TikTok and stuff is a lot more accessible than posting to Instagram, where I feel like I have to create a lot of content, and it has to be like fully rendered, really nicely done, can't do whips, can't make jokes. Just, I feel like I take Instagram not more seriously, but it's serious as in like a professional environment. I feel like Instagram is more of a portfolio, whereas TikTok is more just like me having fun with art. So yeah, when it comes to, again, batch content, I have to make a bunch of art ahead of time because just posting every day, making it as each day comes, it's not accessible to me. I have too much stuff that I have to do, and it gets really, really stressful if I don't prepare ahead of time, which is why I do so. I have hardly drawn for that entire question. I hope this little doodle is enough to keep you guys entertained. Anyways, getting on to the less personal, or the more personal questions, less art-related questions. There's not that many, so we're nearing towards the end of this video, so I am going to go ahead and go on to the last thing, which would be the stickers, and getting to the last couple questions. So this first one, I really love this one because they did specify that it was random, and I totally agree, and I love it. The question is, how do you like your potatoes? Very specific question, loving it. Very specific answer, soup. I love me some loaded baked potato soup. Put extra bacon bits in it and then shredded cheese on top. Oh my god. It is the best thing in the entire world. I love it. I'm obsessed. I literally put so much cheese in my bacon bits that I just came up with an idea. So, oh, well, no, because would that work? So, there's stickers, they're the moon and the stars, and normally, you know, because they're stickers, I like to do portraits, but I usually just end up cutting it off at the shoulders and having kind of like a, you know, a roundish or rectangular shape at the bottom so that, you know, they don't draw too much attention to that particular point. But what if I did, does that look ugly? Does that look like a tooth? I don't know how I feel about that. I was thinking maybe the bottom of the sticker could emulate the shape that they're going to be involved with, but I don't actually know how I feel about that. Anyways, I'm gonna go with the normal cutoff for right now, and then I'm gonna experiment with that some more later. But yeah, I like to put so much cheese in my soup that if I set my spoon on top of my soup, it should not fall through. It should look like this. It should not go inside the soup. So thick with cheese. I love cheese, but I will refuse to stop eating cheese. It's not gonna happen. In fact, I don't know if I've told this story on my channel. When I was like maybe 10, keep in mind I've been eating unholy, ridiculous amounts of cheese for my entire life. Like, straight up, you see those memes about eating shredded cheese out the bag at 3 a.m. That was me as a child, and now as an adult still, to the point where all sides of my family were like, you gotta chill, kid, please stop eating so much cheese. And I was on this is so ridiculous. I was on a vacation with my grandparents, and again, I was 10 years old. We were on a basketball court in a hotel, and my grandpa was like, if you make this 3-pointer shot to this 10-year-old, I will give you $60 and I will stop telling you not to eat cheese anymore. Because right before we got onto the court, I went to the because the hotel had it had like a salad bar. I just grabbed a little tiny bowl and a handful of cheese. That is what I got. That was my lunch, was a handful of shredded cheese. And he was like, we gotta stop this. So we went outside, and he was like, if you make this, I will give you $60 and I will leave you alone about cheese. But if you don't, you have to stop eating so much cheese. You cannot eat cheese for the rest of this trip. And I left that trip $60 richer and with a handful of cheese. Nothing can stop me. So I guess that doesn't have much to do with potatoes, but that is a fun fact about me. So in order to prevent me rambling, I'm just gonna tell you guys this, or I'm gonna read this question. And that is, what are some shows / movies you like? And then I'm gonna give you guys one guess. I'm sorry, Yuji. I'm so obsessed with Jujutsu Kaisen right now. It is ridiculous. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. It is so good. I am hardcore Sukuna stan right now. I have a keychain that has him on it. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's such a good show. But yeah, I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I have a couple TikToks on it too, because I love it. It's so fun. I love making like content for it. The characters, I got so attached to them like so quickly. And it's been super fun to kind of like interact with like fandom and stuff like that. Like, it's been so nice to finally be into something that's currently relevant, because like being into fandoms like back in like last summer when I got really into Preacher, who was making Preacher content? I'll give you one answer. Me. It was just me. Nobody else was making anything Preacher related. My Preacher TikToks bombing. But I couldn't stop, because I loved the characters. I loved Cassidy. I loved Jesse. That's it. I just really loved Cass and Jesse. And I would make like a ton of content for it. But like, the fandom had been dead for like a year. Season 4 ended in 2020, and I guess nobody looked back since. So when I was making content for that, it was frustrating, because it was like, not only did nobody really care to interact with that content, but also I was the only one producing that content. So it's not like I was seeing anything new or fun or interesting. You know, it wasn't stimulating to, you know, once I got through all of the already made content, that was it. And I was the primary source for my new content as far as that went. And so that was kind of not the best. It wasn't super fun. But being into something like Jujutsu Kaisen, or now Dragon Slayer 2, or Dragon Slayer, what is Dragon Slayer? Demon Slayer. Being into Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer has been nice, because they're fandoms that are currently active and are making like really funny, really fun and interesting content. Like, I love opening TikTok and like seeing stupid Inosuke TikToks. Like, I don't know if you guys know the Piggy Dippin' audio on TikTok. I personally am a big fan of Piggy Dippin'. And when I heard that, I was like, you know what Piggy would be dipping? Inosuke. And so I made a TikTok for that.
Piggy dipping! Piggy dipping at the piggy pond. Now you and Sausage swimming in the water bowl? You dipped them fat little toes in there? Chapter 1.
And people loved it. Like, it got so much interaction, so many people that were like in the comments making jokes, making me laugh, laughing because of me. You know, it was awesome. I love it. It's been super fun. I ranted anyway, I'm sorry. So the last question, I guess, before we end this video off is, aside from art, what are some of your other hobbies? Man, what do you mean? I don't have it. I really don't feel like I have any hobbies apart from my art, just because, not because like I don't do anything else, but because like art is the thing that I default to when I want to de-stress, when I want to have fun. The only other, I guess, hobby you could say that I have apart from art is video games. I don't game a lot. I don't even have a lot of games, period. Particularly right now, I have been really enjoying Skyward Sword. I got, or my brother actually, my brother got Skyward Sword for the Switch, like the HD remastered version, I guess you could say. And I've been really liking it. When I started playing Skyward Sword, I was like, this is so intuitive and nice and simple and not at all super frustratingly complex. Like, I'm really enjoying this game. The only thing that really super gets on my nerves is the motion controls. I don't know if it's my Switch, if my sensor is off or something, but particularly and again, spoilers for Ocarina of Time, oh my gosh, spoilers for Skyward Sword, particularly the fight with Girahim, whatever you want to call him, is so frustrating with motion controls. I fought him for 2 hours because the way to beat him is if his sword, so he tracks your sword's movement. If you have your sword facing this direction, so facing upwards to attack him from above, he will block you from above. So what you have to do is at the last second, you have to switch and come at him from the side. Because, you know, again, he's aiming, he's expecting you to go this way, so obviously he's not going to be able to block when you come in this way. And no matter how many times I did that, my motion controls would not understand what I was doing, and he would catch my sword in his hand and I would have to fling it out. You know, I only got to hit him by chance by the few times that my sensor got it right, and understood that I was trying to hit him. And that was super annoying. And I got really frustrated and I turned motion controls off, and then it was totally fine. I did not struggle at all after that because it was, you know, because it's not like I didn't understand how to defeat him. It was just that my sensor would not do it no matter how hard I tried. So once I turned that off, it actually started working, and that made things so much simpler for me, so much nicer. Finally actually decided to work after that, which was great. And I finally beat him, but again, it took me like 2 hours and it hurt really bad. Like, my arm the next day was so unbelievably sore. It was like actually straight up crazy. I really like the shape of her hair, but I'm so scared when I actually render it, how that is gonna turn out. Very intrigued to see. I might give her white freckles too, because I'm imagining her with like a medium deep kind of like almost like purpley, like red sort of skin tone, I don't know, like a burgundy almost, but not quite, you know, like a nice natural color. But I'm definitely imagining her kind of deeper with like really nice curly hair. So I think some white freckles would look really cute, especially with the whole celestial theme. But I'm really worried about rendering her hair shape I'm wearing. It's not going to translate in line art, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, anyways, I make art and play video games. That's it. That's a summary of me. So I guess there you go. Yeah, that is it for this video, you guys. I did not manage to get to the other sticker, which is unfortunate, but I did. That is quite the canvas. Let me rearrange these so you guys can see. Okay, so that is what we sort of managed to work on for today in this little plan with me. I didn't manage to get to, like I said, the other sticker, but this is roughly what you can expect for some of the designs for this month's Patreon. I'm definitely gonna have to come back to this print and make it a little bit more interesting. And I know for a fact I have some more work to do on the download as well, because I have some plans for rendering her face in particular. I really want it to be like super cute. I have some like eye makeup plans and stuff, but overall really excited about this month's theme. It's definitely something that I've been really into lately. Not so much the celestial so much as the pastel, but I kind of intertwine those two. When I think about really pastel like color palettes and things like that, I always imagine a celestial theme involved in that. So yeah, I'm really excited to actually get started on these, start rendering them, start putting them out to Patreon. If you guys want to see the finished versions of these, you can join my Patreon. It will be linked down below alongside all my other social media, but particularly interested in the Patreon right now because that's what the main center of this video is. Yeah, I'm just really excited to work on these. I'm sorry this video was so rambly. I hope you guys liked it. It's kind of a look into how my mind works as far as making content goes, so if that's something that you guys are interested in, I hope this was interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons: Elise Thompson, Duran, Mandy, Sleeps, Crew Heat, Created by Twins, Shannon, and Deson Doodles. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for continuing to support me every single month. I've already plugged the Patreon enough in this video. You guys know it's in the description. But yeah, I just thank you for watching this video, for allowing me to sit and ramble and talk about making art. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.